Want a chance to win your own free NOAA Weather Radio? All you gotta do is subscribe to the channel and you're automatically registered. Now, onto the video. Bathwater light water temperatures and a building upper ridge of high pressure. What could go wrong? How about our first real tropical threat of the early hurricane season? We'll take a closer look. Coming your way next. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weather News YouTube channel. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, and welcome to a special edition of the Stormbreaker Report as we're looking at potentially our first real tropical development of the early 2024 season coming our way as we head toward next week. Now, before we do a deep dive, and if you would like to get future updates in your feed like this, all you got to do is please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell. And if you do enjoy this report, please give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Obviously, we want to try to get this critical information out to as many folks as possible. All right, we got a lot to get into. Let's go ahead and take a look at the current conditions out in the tropics. So we're going to first start off by taking a look at the latest satellite imagery across the tropical Atlantic. And the first thing I want to bring your attention to is a very active looking intertropical convergence zone. Now, this is still a little bit far south, but what's been interesting so far is the amount of wave activity that's kind of sitting in here already. Kind of unusual to see that for this time of year. Got to blow up with some thunderstorms out here in the Atlantic, but we got some very strong gusty winds in here. So again, pretty good wind shear, which is not good for tropical development. The zone we're going to be watching is quiet for right now. We're looking at this zone right in here of something potentially developing and then moving up into the Gulf of Mexico, where conditions could be looking pretty good for the potential for tropical development as we head toward next week. Now, of course, this zone is where you would look for tropical development here in the month of June. You look at the blue area there, kind of going in from the tip of the western portions of the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico. And what's interesting is obviously what the tropical systems need is a nice warm fuel source. And boy, do we have bath water here in the Gulf of Mexico and in that area in the western Caribbean. So you're looking at this pink zones in here. We're talking about water temperatures sitting here close to the middle 80s or so in all three of these zones. So we got some very warm water temperatures to pull from. In fact, we can go ahead and take a look at the current conditions by pulling up the latest data here from some of the buoys out here. So we can go ahead and take a look at some of this right now. And this buoy down here to the south showing a water temperature looking at 86 degrees there, right there. So we're talking about this location right in here. And we do have some other ones we can pull up as well. One up here in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. You can see it kind of clear out there for the moment as we're seeing the water temperatures sitting out here in around 83 degrees. So the water temperatures out in the Gulf are plenty warm to support tropical systems. So what you're looking at right here is the latest American GFS overnight run here. And what's interesting is that this model's been pretty consistent here over the last few runs of wanting to try to develop something in this zone here and then bringing it into the Gulf of Mexico. So I'm going to watch this closely. In fact, this run is actually not showing just one, but two potential tropical systems here for the duration of the entire run. Now, of course, this is long range, is always subject to change, but it is an interesting trend that it is showing things kind of heating up already this early in the tropical Atlantic season. So let's go ahead and take this on out here. As you see the timestamp there in your upper right-hand corner, you're seeing things begin to increase here with some of the activity here as we head toward Friday. So you notice the showers and storms starting to develop down in this zone right here. So as we go ahead and continue to take this forward into next week, we'll see what happens with this as we go forward in time. As we do so, it looks like we've got some sort of trough coming down here. You'll notice here we got this frontal system coming here to the south, and it's going to act as a little bit of a magnet. It's going to try to pull this northward here as we go into early next week. So you're looking right there at Monday right there as this kind of gets going. It tries to get something there to develop, and you kind of see it there. There's the low taking form there by late in the day on your Tuesday. So we're looking at June the 11th. Here's what we're looking at. And what's interesting is it's been kind of developing in kind of back and forth in the zone here a few times here over the last couple of runs. I've seen it kind of go into Florida. I've seen it go up to the high Gulf Coast area up near the Florida Panhandle. So it's been kind of bouncing back and forth. So this is a ways out. And again, we're talking about a system that hasn't quite formed just yet. So by Wednesday, you're seeing this kind of development into the Gulf of Mexico. And we got a frontal system here that's going to kind of yank this a little bit northward. The only thing that may limit it a little bit is the wind shear. There is high pressure that's forecast to develop in this zone, but it might happen after the storm's already gone by in its wake. The reason why a high pressure ridge aloft is important is because that diminishes the wind shear, allows the heat to come at the surface and evacuate out the top. So this thing continues to develop, kind of gets stuck here for a few days a little bit, and then it finally, as we go into the following weekend, into the 15th and 16th, gets pulled northward into Louisiana. So you're looking at that right there, and it doesn't look all that impressive. Maybe we have a weak tropical storm, maybe we have just a tropical depression, but it brings in some enhancing rains into the south central portion of the United States in Louisiana, Arkansas, as this moves inland. What's interesting again about this model run, going all the way out to the end of this run, of course this is going way far out, but it continues to show something else start to develop. We see this zone back here off toward the east here across the Bahamas, as we're looking at something potentially developing there. And then this kind of shunts up into the areas of the southeastern coast of the United States, getting up near, say, Jacksonville in the Savannah area. So we're talking about this right here. Again, doesn't look all that strong, maybe another tropical storm. But again, this is a forecasting trend showing that things may begin in earnest as the tropical season, which is very early, starts getting underway. Now, one of the forecasting tools I like to use when forecasting exactly where any potential tropical development may get pulled into is looking at the North Atlantic Oscillation. And right now, it is in a negative phase. You can kind of see this forecasting trend right through here as we're looking at it forecasting below that zero line. Okay, that's that line right through here once again. And when it's down like that, that means there's a bit of a trough in the east. And a trough kind of acts as a little bit like a magnet. It'll kind of pull tropical systems out of the Gulf of Mexico northward. So, and that's what we're kind of seeing here as we go into next week, because we have this trough across the eastern portion of the United States. So as all the hurricane experts out there have been predicting that we're going to have a very active season, and in fact, if we start getting some storms to start already firing up in June, you can only imagine what the rest of the hurricane season may have in store for us. So if you'd like to get these critical updates and have them in your YouTube feed, please, all you gotta do is subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on when that new content is uploaded. And as always, I do appreciate you guys' feedback. Tell me what you like, tell me what you like to see. And as always, I do appreciate you supporting the channel. All right, that's gonna do it for this special edition of the Stormbreaker Report. Until we meet again the next time, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.